If you've ever wanted to see Idris Elba take on a lion in the savannah, then you know what movie to see this week, Beast. But let me propose something to you. You know, something happens to this lion that makes it go all berserk and crazy. Something that happens to his pride and his family. Well, if this movie was called Lion Neeson instead, I think it would have even been better. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're discussing Beast. This is about a father and his two teenage daughters who find themselves hunted by a massive rogue lion intent on proving that the savannah has one apex predator left. It stars the likes of Idris Elba, Sharlto Copley, Iana Halley, and of course, Leah Jeffries. Now, this is a movie that I actually never even watched a trailer for. I just saw posters, I saw the exact concept, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like my cup of tea. Because there's movies like this, such as The Grey, which is one of the only ones I can really think about comparing it off the top of my head, where a predator is hunting a bunch of its prey, and it's up to them to kind of live up to it all and fight to survive. And obviously we've seen that in like Predator movies, but especially when it comes down to human versus animal, and that's kind of stuff I look forward to in seeing movies like this. And I gotta say, I quite enjoyed this one. I think this is actually a very engaging thrill ride that at the same time is pretty damn awesome. Now, it's not perfect, but if you're looking for just an hour and a half thrill ride of Idris Elba protecting his family from a lion, that's exactly what you get here. And for the most part, I just enjoyed myself for a lot of different reasons. So we're going to talk about all those. And if you are new here and you like talking movies and TV on a daily basis, this is certainly the channel for you guys. I can definitely tell you that I'll have something that you're interested in almost every single week. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below your guys' thoughts. Are you excited for this movie? Are you not? Well, let's talk about it down there. Like every movie review, the thing I love to start talking about first is my favorite things about the movie. So the pros. Let's jump into this. And that's Idris Elba. Idris Elba is just one of those actors that no matter what role you throw him into, even if it's one of the worst movies you could possibly watch, he is awesome in it, and he's excellent, and he's one of the best actors working today. And in this film, with a lower performance and someone who's not as great in this role, I would honestly say that I think this movie would falter in a lot of different avenues. But because of Idris Elba, the emotion that he gives to this role, and specifically the really 110% he's giving to this role, because his relationship's a little bit estranged with his daughters within this movie, so there is a relationship to actually be bringing back and forming back there. And I actually found myself getting a little bit emotionally entangled with it because I wanted them to survive. And that's one thing to say, because I've seen tons of movies like this where it's human versus animals, and I've always found myself that there's the emotional core of it missing. But thankfully, because of Elba's performance, and also from the performances from the kids, you really come to feel for everyone involved, and I really got to give major props for that. Continuing along there, Sharlto Copley is also great in here, and I just find him to be so damn underrated. Every time he shows up in something, I'm like, yes, he's getting more gigs, because I loved him in District 9, and I've loved him ever since. Honestly, one of the things that actually sticks this film above a lot of other thrillers like this is actually the camera work, and that's one thing I really have to acclaim about this movie. Now, maybe sometimes it'll annoy some people, but in the way that it really sticks to the back of each and every one of the characters, specifically during these very engaging, tight corridor spaces that this lion is really much going up against Idris Elba himself and his family. And I really like how they were able to frame each of these shots, specifically in the way that it shoots like a one-shot take. Now, sometimes it cuts, sometimes it doesn't, but it goes for these long, dragged-out shots that whip around corners and stick right to the back of the character, so you really feel like you are actually in these moments trying to survive from the lion, which makes you grip your knuckles all the way down and makes you really engage with everything. Specifically, one of the main shots that I really started to focus in on this was when it came down to Idris Elba going through a town. This village was completely decimated by the lion, and actually seeing the build up to that, which for me was actually one of the more surprising aspects of it. And of course, a sequence involving a car. Now, I'll actually say I was actually quite surprised to see how much of this film actually centers around this one car. It's probably about 20 to 30 minutes of the film at least, but it never drags. It always feels tight and intense. And specifically when a character actually gets stuck under the car when the lion's attacking, that stuff was really on edge. And that's one of the things I really have to claim, because it held the film above other movies like it. And that's what one thing I go into this movie thinking about, okay, what's going to make this stand out to make me tell people, yes, this is a little bit different than what you've seen before, but it's absolutely engaging. You should go see it. And that's when it comes down to the camera work and the performances and the story when it revolves around the family, making you really care about them all. This film is not perfect, and I think that's where I need to jump into my cons. And one of my things I do want to say is I really only have two issues with the film that hold it back from being that perfect little joyride that you can get right at the end of the summer. And one of those things is there are these dreamlike sequences that happen throughout the movie that I feel like held the runtime back just a bit. I actually think in place of these, we should have seen a flashback to certain elements from the story, and particularly stuff in the past when it comes down to Elba's character with his daughters and his late wife. Now, elements like that, I would have been interested to see where it went, and I think just a couple quick flashbacks could have really elevated that, and I would not have minded if the runtime was just a tad bit longer to develop these moments a little bit. And the one thing that you really need to understand when going into this movie is to suspend your disbelief. There are moments in here where a character just gets completely mauled and you're like, oh, they died. And then this other character gets mauled and you're like, whoa. They should have lost the limb. They should have died on impact, just like you just set up over there. Definitely there is some plot armor when it comes down to certain characters surviving, which you won't really think about in the moment, but afterwards you'll be like, yeah, that person got really messed up and they should have died. Again, it's a movie, so suspend your disbelief for what it is. Also, one other thing I want to mention is sometimes this movie really heavily relies on this lion. Obviously, it's a CGI lion. I gotta give major props. Sometimes the lion actually looks really damn good. There's a couple moments where I'm like, alright, that's a fake lion. But for the most part, for probably a relatively smaller budget than most movies, the lion looked pretty damn good, and I gotta give props. Beast is an awesome little thrill ride through the savannah of Idris Elba trying to protect his daughters and fight off a lion. To protect them. Like, that is the story here, and that's exactly what you get. And while a lot of the story is maybe them kind of retreating and hiding from this lion, you do particularly get Idris Elba taking on a lion at times, and it all fits to the tone of it all. You really feel this thrill ride of it all, and if what you got sold from the poster and the trailers is what you're looking for, that's exactly what you're going to get here, is an intense 90-minute thrill ride, and that's exactly what I got here. Besides a couple little issues, I enjoyed this movie a lot. So with all that said, I'm going to give Beast a B. Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are. If you're interested in seeing more movie content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as look forward to a lot of exclusive content on my Patreon. If you want to check out some memberships down below, go check those out. I have a lot of fun watch-alongs coming up. But of course, guys, make sure to also head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see those. And of course, until next time, stay classy.